Victor, how lovely of you to be here for your wife. Considering how awkward it's going to be for her today. Her dubious past on full display, but then considering she was a stripper when you took her in, I guess it's nothing new, huh?
You never stop conniving, do you? You play your game. But you ain't gonna win.
It's no game, Victor. I was wronged, and I want what I deserve. Payback.
You get everything you deserve. And some more. I get lost.
You made it back from your trip on time.
I wouldn't miss this, okay?
Hey, Dylan, I'm glad to see you're doing so well. I was worried about you.
Is that right?
I very much appreciate your being here today.
Let's take our seats.
You know, you didn't give me a whole lot of choice having your lawyer call me as a witness for you.
Well, you're as much a victim of Nikki's deceit as I was.
God, he just keeps lying and lying and lying.
He's a blowhard. I don't want you to get upset about it. Save it for the stand, all right?
No one wants to hear anything you have to say, Ian.
I just wanted to have a moment with the man I still like to think of as my son.
I'm not your son.
Forgive me, Dylan. I don't want to cause you any undue stress while you're still recovering from your ordeal. I'm sorry. Well, it looks like we're about to begin.
Don't let him rattle you. Just remember why you're here. Everything will be fine.
Mom, we'll be right here for you.
Thank you, darling. I think I'm gonna need it.
Sweetheart, I know you're very worried about this, okay? But just remember that you've been through far worse, and you've always managed. You'll get over this, right?
I suppose you're right.
I know I am.
Michael, what happened in there? Why were you in chambers?
Well, opposing counsel attempted to bar your journal from being admitted into evidence on the grounds that they didn't have time to review it. But the judge didn't agree.
Oh, I almost wish that he had. The idea of everybody hearing what's in that diary.
I know, it's difficult.
Then again, on the other hand, it might be the only way that I can win.
Sweetheart.
I just dread how people are going to react.
Sweetheart, nothing you said in that diary is going to change how people feel about you now. Nothing.
You know, Dylan said the same thing.
Yes, and he's right.
You allege that the actions of Nicole Newman caused you emotional distress. Is that right?
Extreme emotional distress.
I stand corrected. How did Mrs. Newman injure you?
Objection.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase. Please describe for the court what brought about the extreme emotional distress you suffered.
Well, when I learned I was a father, I left Indiana and everything that I had there to be with my son. I wanted to get to know him, and I was very eager to begin a new life here in Genoa City.
And what happened instead?
Well, the moment I arrived, I encountered nothing but hostility from everyone. Nicole Newman's family did everything they could to try and prevent me from having a relationship with Dylan McAvoy.
When you say they did everything they could...
They tried to get me to leave town, and when that failed, they sabotaged my business. But I stayed because my son meant that much to me. Over the time, I grew to love him. I've had many blessings in my life, but one that I've never had or never hoped to have was a child. A legacy. Nicole gave that to me. And for several months, she allowed me to experience a joy that I've never known before. And then without warning, she ripped it away from me.
Mr. Ward, in 2003, you were a plaintiff in a paternity suit, were you not?
It was a baseless claim. The woman was just after money.
Baseless because you knew then that you were incapable of fathering a child. You presented evidence at trial that you were sterile. Isn't that correct?
The evidence was presented by my counsel.
Your Honor, I would like to submit into evidence a transcript from those proceedings in which Mr. Ward testified personally under oath that he was incapable of procreating. Were you committing perjury?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Certainly not. I was telling the truth, as I knew it to be at the time.
When you were a teenager, you suffered an accident that left you permanently incapable of fathering children. That is correct.
That's what I was told.
By a licensed medical doctor.
Yes.
Therefore, if you knew by the time you were 15 years of age that you were sterile, long before you met Nicole Reed, and you had the same condition medically reconfirmed in order to refute another paternity claim, how could you possibly believe that Dylan McAvoy was your son?
I thought it was a miracle.
A bona fide miracle.
Yeah.
Like when some people see the face of a saint in a grilled cheese sandwich.
Objection.
Sustained.
You know, you may find this amusing, Mr. Baldwin, but I'm a man of faith. Besides which, people who believe they're infertile wind up having children anyway, sometimes. Not all that uncommon. And I thought maybe it could happen to me.
When the last woman who accused you of fathering her child, seeking financial support, you responded by producing medical evidence to convince the court that there was no way that person could possibly have been you. No way, no how. And yet, Nikki Newman, now a rich woman, makes the same claim, and suddenly it's a miracle, worthy of you pulling up stakes and traveling hundreds of miles to start a new life. Is that what you're asking the court to believe?
When Dylan went looking for me and found me, I was thrilled. Nikki and I had been together years earlier. She was always very special to me, and I'd always hoped that something beautiful would come out of our relationship.
Even though you were married to another woman at the time?
Yes. And when Dylan insisted that his mother told him that I was his natural father, of course I believed it. Why would the woman lie to her own son?
Your Honor, I have nothing more for this witness.
Very well. You may step down, Mr. Ward.
Thank you.
So,
Sweetheart, are you all right? Excuse me. I just received an urgent text.
what's wrong?
And it can wait. I don't have to leave now. I mean,
No, darling, it's all right.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when Nikki explained that you were adopted, did it come as a surprise?
Yes,
What else did she say to you?
that she was my mother.
And was there any mention of your biological father?
Ian?
I'm sorry, Mr. McAvoy, I didn't catch that. Would you repeat your answer, please?
She said it was Ian. Ian Ward?
The plaintiff in this case.
Yes.
That man over there sitting at my table.
Yes.
You don't like Mr. Ward very much, do you?
That's an understatement.
You may treat the witness as hostile, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. You were very eager to meet your biological father, isn't that right?
I was a fool. If I'd known then what I know now.
How did Mrs. Newman react when you told her you were going to search for my client? She didn't want you to go, did she?
No,
And why is that?
because she knew what he was capable of.
Or was it because she knew her lies would come out?
Objection.
Withdrawn.
Mr. McAvoy, why did Nikki want you to seek out Ian Ward? What makes him such a reprehensible human being?
Because of what he did to her. He forced himself on Nikki.
Objection. Hearsay.
Sustained.
Did your mother willfully deceive you about your paternity?
No, she didn't.
Do you agree with the plaintiff's assertion that, like him, you suffered emotionally from Nikki's actions?
The only one making me suffer, making us all suffer, is that man sitting right there, Ian Ward.
Objection.
It's the truth. He's a vicious,
Thank you, Mr.
calculating-
McAvoy. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Sherman.
We rest, Your Honor.
Fine. After a brief recess, we will hear from the defense. Mr. McAvoy, step down.
All rise.
Sweetheart. All right?
Victor, my journal, I have to read it aloud to everybody in this room.
Okay, I'll take care of it. Okay?
Okay.
Counsels, please approach the bench.
May I talk to you for a moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you love your mother?
The hell kind of question is
Oh,
that?
yes or no? Do you love your mother?
Of course I do.
Then you need to leave, my boy.
What?
What she's about to do is so embarrassing to her that she would rather you not be there, okay?
I just want to be here for her. I want to support her.
She knows that, and she loves you for it, okay? Please understand.
All right. Let's resume. Mr. Baldwin.
The defense calls Nikki Newman.
Well, until the blood type issue came up, there was no doubt in my mind that Ian Ward was the father of Dylan.
A fact you believed in unwaveringly from the moment you learned you were pregnant.
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like to submit this handwritten document into evidence. Counsel for the plaintiff, as you know, has been furnished with a copy.
Proceed.
Nikki, would you please describe what this notebook contains?
Yes. That is a journal that I kept while I was a member of Ian's cult.
Objection.
Communal organization.
Well, he called it New World. I called it Hell on Earth. And I wrote everything down that happened. It's all in there. My thoughts, my feelings, every sick indignity that happened to me at the hands of Ian Ward. I thought I'd finally found a place where I could be happy and feel safe for once. Ian swore to me that I would. How stupid I was to believe that bastard. I was so excited when he sent for me today to spend time with the master alone. He said it was an honor and that he chose me because he saw something special in me. But it wasn't long before I realized what Ian really wanted. I was forced to see Ian again tonight. Every time he visits, he calls me to his bed. And I know if I refuse or lie to Sumiko and say that I'm not well, I'll be punished. And I feel sick. I know this is wrong, and I don't want to have sex with him. But he tells me that this is our fate and the path that we're meant to walk together. Tonight, I told him this has to stop, but he wouldn't listen. He grabbed me by the arm and left a bruise, and then he slapped me hard across the face. My lips started bleeding, and I couldn't stop crying. I tried to scream, and he said, "Go ahead. No one would come to my rescue or believe anything bad that I would say about him because I was the servant and he was the master. Ian loves to remind me that I have nowhere else to go, that I was found sleeping on a bench with no one to turn to. He keeps talking like I'm his salvation, saying I'll carry on his work. I tried to fight him off, but he pinned me down, and I couldn't get away. And so the nightmare continues again and again. I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry, Dad.
According to your journal, Ian Ward forced himself on you numerous
Objection!
times.
My client is not on trial here, Your Honor, nor has he ever been formally accused of any crime in connection with the consensual sexual relations he had with the defendant, either before or after the statute of limitations ran out.
Sustained.
Thinking back to that time, from your point of view, was the sex consensual?
Absolutely not. And I told him that until I was blue in the face and he
Your
wouldn't
Honor.
listen.
You have made your point, Mr. Baldwin. Please move on.
When Ian spoke to you about being chosen, what did you think he meant by that, besides carrying on his work?
I just assumed it meant that I would have his child because he refused to use condoms or any other kind of birth control, and I thought that's how he's taking advantage of all the other female
Objection.
cult members.
Yes, sustained. Please testify only to what you yourself know personally from your own experience.
Yes, Judge.
Nikki, if you had had any idea that your baby had not been fathered by Ian Ward, but was in fact the product of a relationship between yourself and Paul
Objection!
Williams...
Leading the witness.
I want to see where this is going.
If you had known the baby was Paul's and not Ian's, what would you have done differently?
Oh my God, everything. I mean, not knowing that the baby was Paul's and giving it away to strangers. It's one of the biggest regrets of my life.